Hi there. Today I want to show you how to process 1,000 addresses into Ethereum function call. So let's have an example, like you have an ICO contract and you want to whitelist your investors, and let's say you have thousands of addresses that you want to whitelist. So how are you going to do that? I mean, it's not going to be convenient if you're just going to do it one by one, right? So let's get started. So today I'm going to use a remix. Basically, if you just Google remix Ethereum, you're going to get this interface. So here we're going to develop our contract. I'm going to select JavaScript VM. Let's get started. So let's do contract ICO. We're going to define our constructor first. And we are going to define a function whitelist addresses. We're going to take an array of investors, and then let's create a so here we're going to iterate over the array that you provided in order to whitelist it. So let's have some hash, which is mapping from address to Boolean investors. Let's then now make it public. So here we're going to iterate over investors length. And then, so now we're going to say address investor, this will be investors I index. So then we're going to store them investors investor equals true. Now let's keep track how many whitelisted investors we already whitelisted. So we're going to say investors count. And here we're going to increment it by 1. So let's add some protection. So there is a very common pattern called ownable contract, and we're just going to implement here. So we're going to say address public owner. And when we instantiate the contract, we're going to say owner equals message.sender. And then we're going to implement that only owner can call this function, which is basically modifier. And let's define one modifier only owner. And then in order to declare a modifier, you always have to do this, which is basically continue executing whatever you want to execute. And here we're going to provide a condition require message.sender equals owner. So if it's not the owner, it's just going to fail, and you won't be able to execute this function. So let's deploy this contract and make sure it's working. So let's try to whitelist ourselves. Okay, let's check if we okay, we just got whitelisted and investors count 1. Okay, great. So now I'm going to deploy this into ring by testnet. So ring by testnet is another testnet made by Ethereum Foundation. So let's say if you want to get an address of ring by, let's create an account first. I'm just going to say get ring, let me increase the font here, ring by, and then console. And I'm gonna say I wanna create a new account. Let's say get create account, because I don't remember how to do it. Get account new, I don't like it. I wanna do it from the personal new account. Okay, yeah, let's do that. So personal new account, the passphrase would be tests. Oh, tests. Great. So now we have this new account. And if you want to get some free Ether in Ring by testnet, we have to create a GIST and provide a GIST URL here. So GIST github.com. And I'm just going to paste it here, create public GIST. Okay. Then I'm going to paste this URL here. Give me Ether for like 3 days. Anonymous GIST not allowed. Okay, I have to create a GIST from my own GitHub account. So I think this is the one, right? Yep. So create public GIST. And then I'm gonna paste it here. Repart. Okay. Great. So now let's see. If we can import it here, now we should actually have this file. I'm just gonna import this account to MetaMask. Ethereum. Actually, yep, right here, ring by key store. So I believe 16, this file. That's the one. Yep. I have it here, right? Yep. So that's the file. Now we're going to import it here. Import an account, JSON. And I'm going to say library ethereum ring by key store. I think that's the one, right? Yep. So this file and the password is test. Oh. Here we go. We just received 18 Ethereum in Ringby, so now we can deploy this contract. Let's switch to injected Web3. And now we can create this contract, submit. So while we are waiting, we're gonna set up our new repo. Let's call it ring by whitelist tutorial. Okay, I'm gonna do npm init. Okay, and I'm gonna do yarn. So we have to have a Python 2.7. So I'm gonna change my version here, local system. So now it's just gonna be 2.7. So now we can add a Web3 dependency here. So our contract was deployed. Let's go to Etherscan, and we're gonna verify this contract very quickly. So the contract name was ICO. The compiler. So this is our code. So the compiler 16, no optimization. 16, no optimization. Verify. And I think I missed the, yeah. So let's see, there is a warning here because I missed the Pragma version for Solidity. It's very important to set it up, but we already deployed that. So usually it's you have to specify that. Yeah, so, okay, our address is deployed. We can see our variables here. Cool. So now let's write some code in order to whitelist thousands of addresses. So we will need a Web3. Need a Web3. Require Web3. We're gonna instantiate an instance. New Web3. I don't remember this long line. So let's go to documentation. Web3 doc. It's located here. Yep, that's the one we need. So I'm just gonna put it here. And then we need a lot of addresses, so I'm just gonna copy from that's the basically file with a lot of addresses in it. So as we can see, it's just a lot of Ethereum addresses. And roughly 974 addresses here. So we're going to import them. Require addresses. Then we're going to have our unlocked account, which is the one that we just deployed from, this one. And we are going to have a contract address here, which is this address. So now, how do we do this? So the idea is that we're going to slice it by chunks. So let's say addresses per transaction. Let's do 100 addresses per transaction, because obviously we cannot put 900, whatever the amount, in one transaction. So we have to split them up. So let's do start will be, so how many slices we need? Let's calculate how many slices. That's basically, we're gonna take addresses.length divide by 100, divide by addresses per transaction, and we're gonna do the seal. Let's always have the higher number. Then we're gonna say start will be addresses.slice, and the the start will be slices -1. Actually, yeah, we're gonna slice it later on. Multiply by 100. So this 100 is addresses per transaction. And then this is gonna be our end. So we're gonna start from the end of this array, and so let's define our function whitelist. It's gonna take a slice, and then we're gonna have actually we're gonna move it here, and we need to define our processing array will be equal to addresses.slice start end, and we're gonna just console log it processing, and we're gonna just console log it. So now we need to estimate gas for each transaction. In order to do that, let's instantiate our contract here. So in order to instantiate a contract, we need to refer to documentation, say contract. How do we do that? Here is the example. So it says that this is the ABI. We can get ABI from here. Since we already verified that, this is our ABI. We can just define the ABI. Let's do it here, ABI.json. Save it. And it's gonna be require ABI.json. Okay. So we can find ABI. This is our contract address, which is contract address. Here we're gonna say from unlock account, and the gas price is 20 gwei, which is fine. So okay, now we instantiated our contract. Then we need to call the method. My contract methods. We have the method whitelist addresses, this one, and let's do we need to put our processing array here. Then we can call estimate gas, and it's a promise, so we can say console log. Let's see what happens if we run this. So let's prepare our node here. So we're gonna say ring by. We need to unlock an account. Unlock. Oh, so let's create a password here. Password file, or here. Basically, let's say password. So our password is test, and we're gonna run the get node, ring by unlock with that address here. I mean, I could just go here, right? Unlock account, unlock this account, and the password is password file, and we need a RPC and an RPC port 8549. All right, so let's see, 8549, and now we should have something going on. Let's run it. We have some failure. Oh, I see. So since it's we requiring these addresses is a function that returns an array. So we just need to call this function. One more time. Let's see what's going on. 947. Okay. Oh, I see. There was a missing comma here. Okay. Okay, so we define the function, but we don't call this function. So whitelist. And we can say return. It's gonna return a promise, and it's a promise too. Console log. Okay, great. So this is the gas cost processing array. This is how much gas it's gonna cost in order to run it. Okay, great. So we know the gas. So now let's gas needed. Now we just need to call this method, but instead of estimate gas, we're going to say send. And then we're going to receive our transaction receipt, where I'm going to console log it. And now we need to recursively call this until we reach all the slices. So how we're going to do that? We're going to say if slice more than 0, we're going to decrement slices here. If the slice is more than 0, please run this again. Slice. Otherwise, we can so here we can say return new promise, and the function will resolve reject. And now I can move this code here. It's gonna be much better. So then once we're done, we're just gonna call resolve. We're gonna say done. So now let's give it a try. Let's see if it's working. Here we go. Interesting gas too low. Okay, what does it mean? I have no idea. Let's maybe try 50 accounts per transaction. Let's verify if there is any transaction going on right now. Here we go. So we see we call this whitelist addresses transaction, and it's currently pending right now. And we are processing. Okay. Here we go. It's done. How come it's done? It shouldn't be done. Let me verify what went wrong. So it processed those arrays. Let me figure out what went wrong. Okay, so looks like I missed, we provide a guess, but I'm actually not specifying how much gas I want to send with it. I think that's the problem. I'm still not sure. So let's run it again. We're processing this transaction with this amount of, let's see if it's actually working from this account. So now it looks like it is setting the correct gas limit for this transaction. Done. That shouldn't be the case. So there is another bug that we call the function whitelist, but we don't pass our slices. How many slices we want to pass? So we have to pass something, right? Let's call it insufficient funds for gas price plus value. Let's see how much money we have. Whoa, we spent quite a lot of money. Why? Because our gas price is probably too high. Let's verify if this is correct. 20,000 GUI, of course, yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. So that's why it's not sufficient. So let's do from way. Actually, we need a two-way. So let's put 20 GUI. That's how much gas we need to put, not like 20,000. That's why we're not able to send such a transaction, because the gas price was not correct. So make sure you set a correct gas price. That's why we like wasted so much ether. It was like 16 ether, and now we just, exactly, in this transaction, it took us 20 ether. That's a lot. So make sure when you do this in the mainnet, you set the gas price to something, you know, like 20 GUI, not like 20,000 GUI. That's gonna cost you a lot of money. Okay, so now let's do it again. We are processing this array. And by the way, let's see our contract. Here we go. We whitelist 22 addresses in this transaction. Now we can see that we are posting a transaction, and we are doing, okay, we posted one transaction, now this is the second one. So we're posting like 50 addresses per transaction. I'm just gonna queue it right now. Let's do 100 addresses, maybe 120 addresses per transaction. Let's see. This is still pending, and we're gonna rerun it again. Yeah, now the gas price looks much better, and the actual transaction cost is just gonna cost you that much, which is pretty much nothing. Okay. So it looks like we posted a few. We already at least 78 addresses. We can verify some of them, right? So let's take this address, for example, and run it here while we were waiting. Yep, looks like it's working as expected. Cool. So let's see how long it will take us to whitelist 970 accounts. So we just run a comment. We're waiting. We are posting transactions here. So we whitelisted 90 addresses so far. So let's see. $102. For some reason, it doesn't take that. Maybe my math is not correct. So, oh, I see why. Okay, yes. I was wondering why we're not like there's such a small amount of addresses here, because we have to. Oh no, that seems correct. I figured we made another issue by saying slices -1. Well, we actually have to use slice. So we were always using that 9 slice, which was taking like 22 accounts, and that's just not how it should working. Okay, let's rerun this again. So it was always processing that many. Here we also don't actually check whether the address was already whitelisted. So if we did something like if investor if it's already true, just don't do anything. I mean, if it's false, oh, then it should work. Let's verify that. Okay. Let's verify ourselves. And let's check it. Here is true, investor account. Let's do it again. True, investor account still 1. Yeah, that's how I would expect it to be working. So let's redeploy this contract and rerun the whole thing. Yeah, that seems to be correct right now. So let's redeploy this right now. Create, submit. Let's do it again. Maybe, yeah, sometimes my remix is kind of weird when you switch environments. Okay. Create, submit. Yeah, here we go now. Looks like this time it's gonna go through. Let's see what's going on here. Yeah, that's pretty much the idea on how to do something like that. So that's it. All right. Yeah, I wonder why it doesn't wanna. I don't know what went wrong with my MetaMask. It simply doesn't. Anyways, you get the idea. That's how you can process lots of addresses in a one contract with one simple script, just processing, by chunks of data in a multiple transactions. Thank you for your time.